Call the February 6th Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. Have invocation, Pastor Rich Maganero.
Bow our heads for a word of prayer. Thank you, Father God, for how much our city has prospered. We're all amazed by the growth of our city, and we are so blessed by your goodness and safety. As we continue to look forward to our future, and we discuss the many plans that come before this council, let us not forget your ways, your loving kindness, and how you draw near to those with hearts of humility. Please continue to work in all those who serve our city, especially our city council, mayor, city manager, along with all the heads of all the departments. Our name represents that the arrow has been broken of disunity, so that peace and unity will grow. May your wisdom prevail in all the coming decisions as our city expands, and may unity grow most of all. In the name of your Son, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rich. Roll call, please.
Wimpy. Parks.
Here.
Lester.
Here.
Udi.
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Now we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have PAC 903 come down and lead us in the pledge.
So, attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, 903. Okay, we have the consent agenda. I want to remove item S. Are there any other items to be removed?
Item A needs to be removed, please.
Okay, item A.
And item O.
Item O.
Move for approval of the consent agenda excluding item A, O, and S. Second.
Got a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
I would make a motion to table item A until the next meeting. Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item O.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a question on item O. Item O is the contract for the Veterans Park Phase 2, and I just wanted to make sure, make a public record. I'm excited to get that done. I think we're all in agreement that we needed to move that memorial and those that served in the Vietnam era into Veterans Park from the location where it's at. So with that, I would make a motion that we award the lowest responsible base bid to the Ground Level LLC and approve and authorize execution of its construction contract for Veterans Park Phase 2.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
All right. With regard to item S, are there any questions, or I would entertain a motion? Move to approve item S.
Second.
Motion and second. No further discussion. Please roll call vote, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Next is item 7A, public hearings, appeals, and presentations. A public hearing regarding the annexation of property located approximately 38.73 acres of land, east half of southwest quarter of Section 11, Township 18, Range 15. Beth Ann?
Yes, sir. At the previous meeting, the City Council approved the notification involving this particular request for annexation. The item on at this time is for the public hearing. Notice has been accomplished both with publication and by mailing in accordance with state statute, and so we would request that you hold the public hearing at this time.
Council have any questions? We do have two people signed up that want to speak. Okay, I'll call Salvatore Bertolino.
Yeah.
Please give your name and address.
My name is
When you
Salvatore
get to the mic.
Bertolino. My address is 25992 Willow Street, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, 74014. And I received a drawing and some information in the mail about this tract, okay? And I'm kind of in the dark about it, so I'd like to learn a little bit more, if I may. I live in Oak Ridge 1, okay? And I have a drawing of the tract, okay? And then outside of the tract are some dashed lines, which I don't understand what that is, but it goes right through my property, and I'd like an explanation, if I may.
Well, that's just showing the subject tract. That may have been the radius, I don't, of where we notified people, but that's the subject tract there. The dashed lines that go through your property, that's just highlighting that tract. The dark dashed lines of the track itself are,
Right.
are where the track is. It
Okay.
really does not have, will not,
Okay.
those dashed lines don't.
So the
impact your
dashed lines
neighborhood.
are just the gas lines?
No, the dashed lines are the notification area, I assume, but it's the area, but it's just to highlight that track. It's the actual dark dashed lines are the track that's the subject track.
Right, and I'm talking about those.
It's the notification.
Right there, those dashed lines.
I'll let the city attorney correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever we do this, we have to give notice to all property owners within a 300-foot radius of the subject tract. And I believe that line marks that 300-foot radius wherein which you would have a right to notice. It's not showing anything that's going to be done to your property.
Right, that's just the notification area.
Right down the middle, and I was not.
No, it will not impact your lot at all, no.
When would this be starting, if you went ahead with it?
I don't know if we have a timeline on start on it.
Don't know?
Don't know. Larry, you want to address that?
Sure, not a problem. This is a part of an annexation process, as we have for the development. The northern tract of this property has gone through the process of developing, and the southern tract has to be annexed in because it's currently in Wagner County, so it has to be annexed into the city of Broken Arrow, and the timeline for that is once it's been approved and accepted, we're forecasting, I think, with the developers that he'll move forward with a rezoning and preliminary plat process for the property probably within the next couple of months.
Okay. But again, that just notifies me. It doesn't do anything to my
Right,
property.
it's just a notification.
Well, gentlemen, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
And then we have Alicia Cobble.
My name's Alicia Cobble. My address is 26031 East 81st Street. And much like my neighbor here, it was more questions. I'm actually in the 5-acre tract that's just west of the property in question that they're wanting to annex in. And because of the size of the tract, I have livestock, I have all these things out here. I want to know, how is this going to actually affect me? Because I'm not currently part of the Broken Arrow city limits.
Right.
I am outside, so what effect is this going to have on me and my dwelling?
Well, it shouldn't
if
have
they
any
annex
effect on
this?
you not being in the city limits. You're still under county jurisdiction. So this tract will be developed under Broken Arrow standards, and they will be in the city limits. But anyone that's the adjacent tracts are in the county, it's not going to change that at all.
Okay, so it won't just grandfather us into any kind of annexation.
No.
I'm also curious, what type of homes, what size, what price range of homes are
I
we
know
going to be
that-
putting in here?
And Larry may know, this is just to annex it in, to be in the city limits. We haven't seen a zoning case yet. but-
Not a problem. As Mayor has indicated, we haven't seen a zoning case come forward for this particular tract, but the northern tract shows an indication of RS3 zoning for the tract, and so those are roughly about 7,000, 8,000 square foot property, and the homes themselves, the city under straight zoning, we can't regulate what the houses look like or anything along those lines, but I think the developer has indicated houses between 1,800 and on up square footage for the houses themselves.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that answers my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that was it. Council have any questions, any discussion? At this point,
I don't have any questions.
There's no questions, and we don't have any questions of staff. We can go forward with this.
You might just ask if anybody else, even though they haven't signed up, wants to speak on
Does
this.
anyone else want to speak?
Name's Larry Luch. I actually live right in between the last two speakers in Oak Ridge 1. It's probably a little premature, but I was wondering on erosion control. I'm right bordering so I'm on the west end of the subject track, and that field sets, there's just kind of a little hump, and then my yard's considerably lower, so I'm where I get a lot of erosion as we speak now. I didn't know, would there be an opportunity in the future to know what their grading plans are, or?
Yes,
and how that'll
once they
affect us?
submit engineering plans, you'll be able to, you can request those open records and request those to see them. But the state statute, and we follow that, does not allow you to have any more discharge than what's existing or flow. So, and usually when a neighborhood's built, they're going to, chances they could take it to a detention pond, but most likely they usually reduce the flow off-site. But, we don't have any engineering plans yet.
Yeah,
This is just
fair
whether they
enough. It
can
was
be in the
just
city
an
limits or not.
opportunity to come.
Yes.
I know our sewage line, I'm not sure if it's the main line, but it runs right down that west border of that. I mean, I didn't know if they're going to tap into that, if they'll have their own system. I don't know what it's going to do to water pressure in our neighborhood.
Probably rural water sewer, rural water district 4 sewer. I mean, until we see engineering plans, we're not going to know what they're going to do. They're going to have to come up with a design.
Understood. Do you know how will the entrance be off 81st? The
Yes.
one entrance?
I believe there's going to be 2 entrances off of 81st.
Track that size usually requires, I know the fire code usually requires 2 entrances.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sir, I'm not sure for the record, we have to have your address.
I'm
I'm not
sorry.
sure.
I'm
we got
sorry,
that.
7925 Lariat Circle.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, if there's no one else, I'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. We'll move on to item 8, citizens' opportunity to address the council on general topic business. It's not on the agenda, and no one signed up. So we'll go on to item 9A, general council business, presentation of financial results, presentation for the 6 months ending December 31st. And Tom Cook.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm here to present the results for the first 6 months of the year, ending December 31st, 2017, for our primary operating funds, which would be the general fund, the police and fire sales tax funds, BAMA, and then also sales tax capital improvements as our primary capital fund. First, the good news. For year-to-date in general fund, our net results of operations are a positive $684,000.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Thank you very much.
I think we want you to stop. You need to stop.
I got the hint, Lisa. Our sales tax, though, as you can see on the next section down, is down slightly for the year at $330,000 compared to budget, but our other taxes are up by $944,000. Under expenditures, salaries are under budget by $164,000, and benefits are under by $227,000. And we are currently at 46.89% of our annual budget. And I want to point out in the bottom section that our current fund balance is $7.8 million and our required reserve fund balance is $5.5. So we are 140% of our required amount. The next page, which has a little more detail on revenues and expenditures, I would just point out that even though we are very positive on sales tax and other taxes that overall our current revenues are flat compared to budget, that 49.59% of the year, but our expenditures are $620,000 less than budgeted. And so unless council had any other questions on the general fund.
I have a question, Mayor. This is more for a clarification, is that you talked about the unencumbered fund balance,
Yes, sir.
Tom. I just want you to clarify something for council, that if the council was to take money out of that unencumbered fund balance, and that was for an ongoing expense, that would be something that if they were to say take $500,000 out of there to pay an ongoing expense, we'd lose that money, and then the following year, unless we address that, then basically we'd have to come up with money to pay for that as well. So it wouldn't be something like if we're sitting there with a couple $1 million and we decide to give a salary increase, that's going to be an ongoing expense. We'd have to come up with whatever amount that was if it came out of fund balance.
Yes, sir. We would run a deficit related to that for the current fiscal year, and then without an additional funding source, we would have that same $500,000 next year. So now we're $1 million less, and I mean, the math would play out, in 10 years or so, we would essentially eliminate our fund balance.
Thank you.
I noticed, and Tom mentioned that we are under budget with regard to salaries and benefits. Does that reflect some job openings, or does that just reflect some savings?
Jobs.
Exactly, Vice Mayor. I mean, usually when you're under in your salaries, it's a reflection of there being open positions.
Okay.
And part of that too, Vice Mayor, is just the timing. Some of those positions have been filled, but where we would have budgeted perhaps for the position for the full year, it was, if it's September or so, then it would have that 3 months worth of non-expenditure.
So does this budget, the firefighters that we receive the federal funding on?
That's a different fund.
Okay, you'll get to that.
Yes, sir.
We'll address that, okay.
Any other questions on the general fund?
Questions?
Next, we'll look at the police sales tax fund. And you can see the results of the operations year-to-date are a positive $1.1 million. For their personal services, they are currently, for salaries, $89,000 under budget, and benefits are $122,000 under budget. For their other operating expenditures, they are under budget by $262,000. And then page 5 that has the more detail, they point out again their current revenues are $34,000 over budget. Their personnel services combined are $212,000 below budget. Other services and charges, $151,000 below budget. Materials and supplies, $111,000. So their current expenditures are $474,000 below budget. And capital outlay is $337,000 below budget, and that resulted in the $1.1 million under budget. And then the fire sales tax fund, they are currently have net results of operations of $357,000 for the year. They are over budget in benefits, but under budget in their salaries and wages, so that they're currently at 51% of their total budget. And then the next page, Councilman Lester, it shows currently the intergovernmental revenue on that is $120,000, But I can tell you that today there was a drawdown for $600,000 of federal money on the SAFER grant. And so the fire department overall is $309,000 under budget for the year, the net income of $1,065,000, but their capital outlay, currently they have things not ordered yet, so the majority of their savings are $700,000 in capital outlay. Then STCI, just real briefly, we are at $4.6 million in revenue for the year. Our current capital expenditures through the end of December are just under $3 million, and we have a fund balance currently of $7.5 million. The municipal authority, current revenues are $1.6 million below budget, but positively, our current expenditures are 2.7 under budget. So we have a current results of operations of 4.7 million. And you can see under the revenues that most of our charges for service revenues, water, sewer, sanitation, are running about 93 to 95% of our expected amount. But for expenditures, personnel services are 1.1 million under budget, and other operating expenditures are 1.5 million under budget. So the fund is currently at 41% of its annual budget. Again, on the last page, I'd point out that overall in current revenues we're 1.6 million below budget, but our current expenditures for personnel are 1.1 million below budget. Other services and charges are 1.04 below budget. Materials and supplies are 500,000 below budget, and our ending revenues over our expenditures are 4.7 million. Any questions for Bama?
Any questions, Council?
Yes, sir.
So overall, you're happy with where we're at right now?
Well, yes. I mean, obviously in the municipal authority, the being not to budget with the revenues, and that is such a factor of many things, you know, watering patterns of our customers, the rain, it really comes into play. And then our most recent rate increase, you know, has only been in effect essentially about 8 weeks. And so that will come into play as we go through the rest of the year. I know positively you received an email today that our water usage, our water pumpage in January was up some. So hopefully as we carry on into the springtime, we'll have good water usage and those numbers will come up.
Vice Mayor, just to follow up on your question, Tom explained it very well. From my perspective, we were meeting yesterday looking at the capital improvement program and starting that process earlier. And when you're talking about the utility department, we have our capital projects that are paid for with debt service, which normally is through the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. And then we have what they call, it's a not a technical term, but it's a term that's used standard in the industry of pay-as-you-go capital, which are those projects, whether it's the purchase of a vehicle, a trailer, materials for projects, and so forth. If revenues don't meet projections, then we'll do basically a couple of things. Number one, we'll go back and look at the pay-as-you-go capital to make sure we stay within budget. And secondly, if we have open positions, we'll look and see if we can hold off on filling those open positions for a period of time, because we want to make sure we take into account that the council's direction last year is to start to rebuilding the fund balance in the municipal utility authority. So there's a lot that goes into play, and I am a little concerned about where we are in terms of revenue. And so we started that discussion yesterday about looking at those projects. And if there's anything significant, we were going to let the authority know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible acceptance of the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality issued consent order with task outlined, penalties listed, and authorization of mayor to approve and execute the consent order. Anthony Daniel.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members and staff. What you have before you is a consent order that we received from DEQ for sanitary sewer overflows that happened in October 14 and October 17 of last year. A little bit of background. This 36-inch concrete sewer line pipe is about 5 miles long, was installed in 1985. It's unlined, so over years, the hydrogen sulfide in the line converts into sulfuric acid, has pretty much corroded the crown of the pipe. So whenever there's a heavy downpour or rainfall event, the overbearing soil gets saturated and the crown of the pipe just collapses. When it collapses, the sewer gets relieved at a manhole near the creek past the turnpike itself. And last year, October 14th, there was one event, October 4th, sorry, and October 16th, there was another event. And a citizen had called in and complained to DEQ. So the DEQ contacted their rep in Tulsa office, and he went and checked the location. On that day, there was nothing coming out of the manholes, but he remembers having seen previous overflows at this location. So on December 21st, DEQ issued us a NOV, a notice of violation, asking us what are we going to do to correct the problem. So we responded to them on January 9 saying that we have been proactive, we're ahead of the game, we have hired an engineer, and the design is about 60% complete. So they turned around, used the information that we provided, and sent us a consent order with 3 dates that we need to meet. They call them task dates. That the design, completed design will be submitted to DEQ by November 1st and 2018, and we will bid and start construction on May 1st, 2019, and we should complete construction of the entire section by September 1st, 2020. So what we are going to do is we are moving forward and getting this line designed and constructed and stop the sanitary sewer overflows at this particular location. And with the consent order, there's a cash penalty of $30,000 that is assessed, and first payment of $18,750 is due soon. And if we meet the rest of the task dates, then the penalty will be waived. With that, I'm ready to answer any questions you all have.
September 2020 seems like a short time, to do that. Are you able to meet that?
In fact, they gave us a bit more time. So they worked with us, DEQ worked with us and gave us time, yes, we can get it done.
So you're going to be a little bit longer than that,
Yes,
is that
sir.
okay? I missed that, I'm sorry.
In fact, in our notice of violation response, we told them complete construction by sometime around September, but they told us very end of September. They're willing to work with us, we told, as long as we show progress.
Is that reflected in the order?
Yes, sir, it is in the
There's specific dates.
page 3 of the task order.
So we have about 5 miles of line we're going to relay, I believe it's a 42? Or is
No,
it-
we are going to, it's going to be 42, 48, a fiberglass pipe,
Fiberglass
which
pipe.
is less prone to resistance from hydrogen sulfide and sulfuric acid.
And 5 miles, it looks like we're supposed to get it laid in 18 months.
18 months, yes, sir.
which-
We're going to go at it heavy.
That's my
Yeah, they
question.
are.
That's my question, that if I understood correctly, we have to complete this by September 1, 2020.
Yes, sir.
But you said they were flexible with that?
Yeah, they'll work with us as long as they show
But
progress.
that's not referenced in this order.
No, but we can always go back and appeal to them.
I can tell you, Scott, Vice Mayor, that if we weren't under construction by then, they're not going to work with us. They're just going to fine us, and they outline the fines. If we're under construction and there are things beyond our control, circumstances beyond our control, they'll work with us. They understand this is a $20-some million investment the city's making, and so it's not their goal to hammer us into submission. It's to work with us because they recognize the investment. So I have no concerns that if in fact we're making progress, that they'll give us an extension if needed.
So I find it hard that we can, and Kenny, maybe will answer this, 5 miles of line, 42-inch pipe, lay it in 18 months, that's pretty aggressive.
It's very aggressive. We
Just a
actually, the north mile, we were actually doing ourselves. So that's a 24-inch line from, that would be New Orleans to Washington. That's the plan for us to do that north mile. Then the south 4 miles, we actually looked at probably doing it in 2 construction contracts as opposed to 1. You're right, doing 4 miles under 1 contract, that'd be a long time to do it, but having 2 contractors, we have an opportunity to make it that way. That was the plan all along, was to do 2 contracts.
Simultaneously?
Yeah.
Yes. You find a control point that's not changing and work both ways. One control point is the plant. It's not going anywhere, and that elevation stays where it is.
The other advantage we have is Beth Ann has a great relationship with their attorney, and if you notice the last couple of times we had issues, we were able to get them to work with us in terms of language that's acceptable, that holds us accountable. So I feel very comfortable. As long as we give them enough notice, we're not going to have any further issues once we enter this.
Will this line lay beside the other line?
No, certain places will be over the existing line.
Over?
Yeah, we'll lay on this same easements. Because it's easier to go, we have to, in fact, if we don't crush the old line, then that's a dangerous spot. The line can collapse anytime. So we will have to lay in the existing easements and within the line. That's the best way to go.
Break the existing pipe.
Break that pipe, existing pipe. So that we kill 2 birds, one stone. We take care of the old pipe and we put the new pipe in.
Well, where's the sewer going to go while you're killing the birds?
We pump around.
Bypass
It's
pump.
common
Okay.
practice in
Just
the
like
industry.
you did before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 options, as Anthony talked about, was either lay parallel and leave the old one in service as you're putting in a new one. If we do that, we have to buy new easement. Most of the easement's only 30 or 40 feet wide, I think 45 in some locations. So we'd have to buy 4 miles of new easement. If we go back and lay in place, take out the old one, pump around, and put it back in at a new elevation, then we can basically go down the same alignment. We can't leave the old line in place. If I did parallel, build along the side, I can't leave it in place because of what Anthony had talked about. The top is rotted out, and we'd have problems. People could, if they're walking through the property, could fall in over time. So we just got to get it out.
Well, I was wondering if you're going side by side. My next question was the right of way, but if you're going to go on top of it, you'll have the right of way then.
We've looked at both ways, and neither way is very encouraging, but we felt like if we did a parallel sewer line, we'd still have to flow fill, take out, do something with the existing line, and that's just a cost that, it's a big cost for nothing. So let's just take it out, pump around, which is a cost as well, but.
And that cost is calculated
In that 20, yes, sir.
20 million.
Yes, sir.
Where's the funding? for
It'll
that?
be a loan.
You may have said it. I'm
It'll be a loan from the Oklahoma Water Resources
Okay,
Board.
OWRB, okay.
And that application's already in, or?
Yes.
We've already got that.
We've already approved.
We've already got that approved.
Well, I know that we've submitted the application. We have a number of applications there, so I'm going to turn to Kenny and ask him to make sure, to confirm.
We have the application prepared. We have not submitted it because the design is actually, like Anthony said, 60. If it's not, it may be 70 or 75%. But we're actually starting to acquire additional easements where we need it now. So we were waiting to get a little bit further along on the easement process, see where that is, to submit the application. It's prepared, and our outside company is actually kind of holding it, waiting on us to catch up a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
Rick Spixpos have had conversations with the Water Resources Board about our plan to submit, and they've given us preliminary indication they're going to approve our application.
Yeah.
We don't anticipate a problem.
No.
No, we do not.
They love us very much.
Have any
Thank
more
you.
questions, discussion?
What, we just need to accept it?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to accept the ODEQ issued consent order with the task outlined and the penalty listed, and authorize the mayor to execute the consent order.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution number 1064, a resolution of necessity to condemn property located in the northwest quarter section, Township 18 North, Range 15 East. Alex.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Alex Mills, Engineering Director. You have here tonight before you a request to approve a resolution for condemnation for 3 parcels that are needed for the 23rd Street, Kenosha to Houston roadway project. This project has federal funding involved, and as such, ODOT right-of-way division has been actively managing the acquisition of these parcels. They've used a third-party right-of-way agent, Universal Field Services. Universal has been had unsuccessfully tried to negotiate a purchase price with BZ Properties, the owner of those properties. The representative is here tonight, and I believe he has an intent to speak after I'm complete. Those parcels are located on the east side of 23rd Street, just north of Highway 51, roughly. In accordance with the agreement we have with ODOT regarding right-of-way, the city makes the purchase of the right-of-way, and then we are reimbursed 80% by ODOT after the purchase is complete. The funding for the right-of-way acquisition is available in the 2014 GEO bond project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Alex?
Construction schedule, Alex, what are we looking at here?
We're hoping to have the right-of-way complete this spring and cut loose the utilities to be relocated summer and fall. And I know ODOT's really pushing to let the contract this fall. So it's an aggressive schedule, but that's what we're hoping to hit.
All right, so basically, I mean, we've talked about the fun with the council to make sure that they're comfortable, is that if we're gonna have council consider Lynn Lane tonight, and that project is going to take approximately how long?
Probably about 9 months.
All right, so we should be wrapping that up about the time we're starting this project.
Yes, that's
Okay.
the intent.
Okay.
So all the funding for the county line widening, including the bridge, is in place.
Is in place, yes, sir.
The 80, I'm sorry.
But been a long time coming.
Yes, sir, it has.
The 80/20, does that include the legal cost for the 80% reimbursement? Does that include the legal cost for condemnation proceedings?
Interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. Kenny, do you?
I believe it does. I believe all the right-of-ways included that way. We paid our right-of-way cost a few years ago, and the 80/20 goes to the right-of-way as well.
Thank you.
The reason I mentioned it at the council is because besides Lynn Lane, County Line Road, there's also Kenosha from what I call Main Street to Quick Trip right there that's planned to be widened. And so we've really, I've had a lot of people hit me up about where we are on that because the voters approved it. But if you look at this corridor and the projects that are being done, we have to be very strategic in how we do that, because you could really be tying up traffic, and then there's already a lot of folks over there as it is. And so really the area along Main Street, it's Kenosha from Main Street to Quick Trip, we're watching the timing on that so we really don't cause much of a delay. So just let council know that that's still something that we're working on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No more questions. I'll ask Roger Broach to come up. Roger, please state your name and address.
Roger Broach. I'm a representative for BZ Properties. I'm the manager of the LLC, and my address is 7667 East 46th Place, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74145. That's the offices of BZ Properties. Mayor and councilors, I appreciate you guys taking some time to listen to me, and I'll try not to be too long, but We've been working for the last 2 years with Universal Field Services, trying to negotiate in good faith with these people. And they came in with an incredibly low offer for our property. Now, we have 220 acres that surrounds Angus Acres. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Angus Acres. And we own probably 8 lots inside of Angus Acres. But what's specifically being, or they're trying to acquire is, of course, that property that lies along 23rd Street. And there's 3 different properties plus a highway sign. You know what I'm talking about, like a Lamar type sign, but not quite as large, that are involved in this. We have had appraisals and also have got advice from real estate people, prominent real estate people in the area, and appraisers in the area. You probably know one of them, Nora Gordon. She's has been our real estate partner for quite a while with this BZ Properties project, and everybody says that those people say that not only is what we've offered a reasonable number, but probably low. Considering, some factors such as right now they're in the process of rezoning the frontage on 23rd Street and on 71st Street, or Kenosha, I should say, to NO, neighborhood office. So that, and that was our goal as BZ Properties was to buy this property and resell it or develop it, and of course make money. Now, I don't want to rip the head off of the City of Broken Arrow or the ODOT, but I don't want them to rip my head off either. And I feel like that we have.
Wrap up when you can. Yeah, we have 1 more minute.
Okay, thank you. I feel like that we have negotiated in all fairness with these people. I believe that they've come back with unreasonable counteroffers. We're only $56,000 apart from what I offered to what they offered, but they won't budge. And on a project this size, I can't see how you guys can justify $56,000 difference in the legal bills that are going to be involved in this. Now, if I have to hire an attorney, which I'm going to have to hire an attorney for this condemnation suit, price is going to go up. I'm going to have that attorney go for the maximum amount that he can get. And it's going to be more than what I'm asking for. I mean, I'm asking a reasonable price. You can take my word for it, or you can look into it. But, it's not reasonable to go to this condemnation type litigation for $56,000 difference in a project of this size. And I suppose my time is up. Is that correct?
Is the ODOT is doing this negotiation, right, for this condemnation?
Well, Universal Field
Services is the contractor that was selected to do the right-of-way acquisition.
And one thing that you did say was the property you're talking about that you were wanting to go to neighborhood office. Was that this property?
One of these pieces of property is one of those pieces of property.
And you're aware that if that gets zoned and that gets platted, you'll give that land to the city for free? The right-of-way will be given to the city for free?
I don't know. You've thrown a
When you plat a piece of property, the right-of-way is expanded, and that land is given to the city. The right-of-way is given to the city for free.
Nothing's for free, Mayor.
Well, but that's the law. And it's been the
The
law.
law
for-
is that
the
I
law's
get
been
paid
there
a
for
reasonable
years.
price for my
Well,
property.
but
Is
if you
that not
plat
true,
something,
Beth
then
Ann?
you have to dedicate a certain amount of right-of-way.
If you go through the rezoning process, then.
I'm not going through, the other landowners in that area are going through this rezoning process right now. Now, of course, I'm all for it because it increases the value of the property. I'm just saying that as a side note, as the value of the property that I'm trying to discuss today.
Would you like for me to address the condemnation process real quick? One thing that I can tell you after having done this for just a couple of years is that the condemnation process is actually designed to limit the amount of costs in attorney's fees in advance of trial. And so while, you may be out an initial retainer for an attorney simply to go to the hearing to appoint commissioners, 3 commissioners are going to be appointed and they're going to determine the value. And so once that process is moved forward, it's designed to inure to the benefit of the landowner. And then once that price is established by the commissioners, then we always bring it back to the city council and give them an opportunity to review it once again.
Well, it appears to me that, we should, I would have thought that we would have been able to come to an agreement in this situation, but they've been very unreasonable. Universal Field Service has been very unreasonable. And I don't want to go to condemnation court, but I will. And I think I got a real good case. And there's a lot of other people think I have a real good case too.
Well, that's what this combination will play that out, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I think it's a shame that we have to even go there. But if that's what you guys deem necessary, then, I mean.
I'm relying on our attorney's advice in that regard, but I think what was just stated is that the purpose of condemnation is to get a fair price. And if there are so many people who say that X is the price, and it aligns with you, then you end up actually getting closer to where you want to be anyway. And,
This costs everybody money and takes time.
Well, and as counsel was saying, it's designed so that it doesn't cost a lot of legal fees. That's the process. So
I would like to come back to this council after this is all said and done, and we'll talk about how much it's going to cost. I mean, you'll probably be baffled at how much is going to be involved. But it's just I've been involved with litigation before. The attorneys are they get paid by the hour. They're not in it for free, and they're not pro bono. They make money, and they make a lot of it, as we all know.
Well, I make about $8.67 an hour, I think. So,
you're an exception to the rule. But I'm used to paying attorneys somewhere between $250 and $500 an hour.
Mr. Broach, that's why we have this process, because we have from time to time disagreements with landowners on value. That's the reason for the process. Understand you have your valuation on the property, and our agent has their value, and we go through this process to come to a meeting of the minds. I appreciate your time.
I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you taking time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any more discussion?
Make a motion to approve and authorize execution of resolution of necessity number 1064.
Second.
First and second discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9D, requesting a motion to, request to table that till February 20th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
First and second discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Consideration, item 9E, consideration, discussion, possible approval of resolution 1085, a resolution of the Broken Arrow Mayor and City Council adopting the City of Broken Arrow multi-hazard mitigation plan. So Jamie's going to present this.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Jamie Ott, Emergency Manager. You have before you a resolution pending adoption for a hazard mitigation plan. The Broken Arrow Hazard Mitigation Committee and myself have worked over the past 13 months to update the Broken Arrow Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan, first implemented in 2004. This multi-hazard mitigation plan requires 5-year updates in order for communities to be eligible for FEMA hazard mitigation grants. This plan update will assist the City of Broken Arrow in future mitigation projects implementation to provide citizens relief from various natural hazards. This plan update has been forwarded to 2 public school systems for their adoption also in the event that any future school improvements are eligible for hazard mitigation grants. FEMA requires that community multi-hazard mitigation plan updates are adopted by resolution. The 2 schools are Union and Broken Arrow. And I just want to say I appreciate the 2 schools' time and their effort for the many calls and meetings that we did as we were working on this plan. And I'll answer any questions the council may have.
Any questions of Jimmy?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1085 and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Next to item F, there's been a request to table this to a future meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9G, consideration, discussion, possible award of the lowest responsible bid to Ellsworth Construction to approve and authorize execution of construction contract for 9th Street widening. Alex.
Good evening again, Alex Mills. You have before you the request to approve the award of construction for the 9th Street widening from Elgin to El Paso. This is a 2011 and 14 general obligation bond project to widen 9th Street to 5 lanes. Included in the construction is a new traffic signal at the intersection of 9th and Dallas, as well as a street front parking in front of the patio condominiums and a parking lot on the just to the south of the condominiums. The project was advertised for bids on November 2nd and 9th. Bids were open January 9th. We had 4 bids received. All were responsive. The bid tabulation is attached. The lowest responsible bidder was Ellsworth Construction with a base bid of $3,240,755.94 for the base bid and $151,289.25 for alternate 1. Alternate 1 is the parking lot just adjacent to the patio condos. The engineer's estimate was $3,702,899.10 for the base bid and $175,003 for the alternate. We recommend award of the base bid and alternate for this project to Ellsworth Construction in the total amount of $3,392,045.19. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. I understand the parking to the south of the apartments. I didn't realize there's going to be room for parking in the front. What kind of parking is going to be in the front? Are they going to be backing out into the street or?
No, sir. We're working on an agreement that should come before council at next meeting, an agreement where they're going to donate some right-of-way to us to where we can build some off-street diagonal parking to augment the parking that's being built to the south. The total number of spaces is about 54, which is in the general proximity of how many they have today, if you estimate how many is out in that open area. And they would not be backing out into the street. There would be a median barrier between that and the street, so they would pull off, be able to park diagonally, be able to back up, and then pull out.
So we're not having to buy right-of-way for that. They're going to give that.
They are going to donate to that, to us, yes.
All right.
So this is for which apartments?
It's the patio condominiums.
So is that not the ones we're acquiring, building the lot to the south?
Correct. We're doing both lots. A
How
strip.
many parking places did they have out front?
Well, it's up to some conjecture. They were not striped. Our estimate is in the mid-50s, but it's only an estimate, and we're providing between the 2 lots approximately that same number.
Okay,
All right. And actually, I think having talked with the folks at the patio, and I know this has been a challenging issue, but I think the solution has been an elegant one, as best, you know, or putting lipstick on this particular pig has been, but it has, I think, we've been able, and I appreciate them working with us, and I know that you all have had to redesign this thing half a dozen times, so.
I spoke with the president of the homeowners association this morning. He had their condo association meeting last night, and he believes he has the support of all the property owners to the agreement that will be brought to you next council meeting. So,
well, and I'm excited for this project to begin and to see it happen. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions?
I would make a motion to award the lowest responsible bid to Ellsworth Construction LLC and approve and authorize execution of a construction contract for 9th Street widening Elgin to El Paso.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Go to item 10A, preview ordinances, consideration, discussion, and possible preview of an ordinance annexing property of the east half, the southwest quarter of the Section 11 Township 15 North, Range 15 East. Beth Ann?
Yes, sir. This is the ordinance, the preview ordinance for the annexation that you held the public hearing on previously. We would request that you preview the ordinance and set it for adoption at the next meeting.
Questions?
Move to preview the ordinance and set for adoption.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11A, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3513. Beth Ann?
Yes, sir. This ordinance was previewed at the last meeting, and it basically does away with the codification of the Downtown Advisory Board. It's in substantially the same form as it was when it was presented to you initially. We would request that you adopt ordinance 3513 and approve the emergency clause.
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 3513.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 12, remarks and inquiries by governing body members. I would like to say that since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to go to D.C. and was invited to go to the White House and spent about 2.5 hours in the White House. Heard the president and vice president speak. But one of the most exciting things was able to go to the executive office of the White House and spend an hour talking with, got to speak with staff members from Department of Education, Department of Energy, Department of Commerce, Department of Transportation, and EPA, and talked about things we're doing like the Innovation District and try to get some buy-in. I've given the city manager all his contacts so he can follow up and hopefully we can get some of the White House staff supporting things that we're doing to help us fund some of the projects that we've talked about here. So I just wanted to advise the council on that, and it was pretty special to have that opportunity.
And I want to applaud you for going and representing the city so well, and hopefully bringing back some grants along the way, hopefully.
It's wonderful to see Broken Arrow at the table because I think it serves us well, and I would echo Councilor Lester's thought.
Any other comments from the governing body? Questions? Okay, seeing none, go to item 13, remarks and updates by city manager. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. Just a few things. First off, Councilmember Wimpy had a work commitment tonight, and so she sends her regrets for not being able to attend, but wanted me to make sure to let the council members know that she would not be here. Secondly is that, as you know, we have kicked off the comprehensive plan update. And I can tell you, having attended the first meeting, it looks like a great group of citizens. Several council members were there for the first meeting, and I can tell you they were very engaged. I think the process might take a little longer because everybody's got something to say, which I think is a really good thing for our city to make sure we get that input. I wanted to let the council know that last week we completed the 4 interviews with the consultants for the proposed innovation district. And we spent about 90 minutes with each one of those consultants and saw some great proposals from some very well-qualified firms, several Oklahoma firms, which was exciting. We are going to be discussing in the next week or so our thoughts as a administration on who to recommend to the city council to provide those consulting services, for the city. I can tell you that we had some great proposals. We got to see actually, we all have a vision on what we think the innovation district would look like. But with today's technology, we were actually able to see some idea of how the land we've been thinking about developing could look. And so it was really good to see that what we've been talking about and thinking about what that would look like actually on the property. So very excited about that process. This week, we're going to be interviewing consultants to make a recommendation to the council on looking at possible redevelopment of 101st and Elm Place. That was one of the items the city council said that they wanted to look at to see if there are some opportunities for redevelopment there. And so we're going to be holding those consulting interviews this week, and then probably, if not the 20th, the first meeting in March, we could be coming back to you with the recommendation. Also, the public facilities assessment that the council authorized a few months ago is underway, and I feel very confident in saying that we should have some preliminary recommendations on our facilities, as we talked about at the general obligation bond package meeting last month, on terms of improvements or upgrades, expansions to our facilities for council to look at, probably March or April, and then you can decide what you'd like to have included in the bond package in August. 2 other items I wanted to mention to the council and for the public is the public forums in connection with the 2018 general obligation bond package are scheduled for later this month. The 22nd, the 26th, and the 27th at 3 different locations. I'm very excited about the public forums. I also wanted to share with the council that we've come up with a slogan that we're going to be basically branding, which is Build Our Future BAGO Bond, August 28th. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these around in terms of coming up with a brand. Also wanted to mention that we are meeting with the Build a Better Broken Arrow Committee on the 15th. So we felt like it'd be important to show them the tentative projects before we go to the forum. So they're going to be meeting here in City Hall, and we're going to be using that meeting with them as a trial on how we're going to do the public forums. And just so the council knows, now I would really encourage the council members to make a comment at the forum. I think it's important that the citizens hear from all of you on the importance of the general obligation bond package, number one. And secondly, after a short PowerPoint from myself and Mr. Schwab, Rich is really just going to be the facts man. It's going to be when the vote's going to be, what the process is, when we have to make decisions in terms of passing the resolution and ordinance, and just some ministerial type items to let the council know. And then we're going to turn everybody loose to go to different stations. And so there's going to be large maps. There's going to be a multitude of stations to look at potential streets projects, parks projects. We're even going to have a station to where it talks about general subdivision and street maintenance, to where we can show folks that the proposed package has $30 million potentially of street maintenance. And then also over here on this map would be where we might be able to spend the street sales tax money to give the folks the idea of how those improvements would match up with our pavement index report. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for folks to come get the feedback. We're going to have scribes at every station to take notes from the residents, and then we'll compile that, and then we will get it back to council late March, early April, so we can start that painstaking process of trying to narrow the package down based on the number of years you would like to issue, as well as the total amount that we can afford within there. I did start a show. As it's a spin-off, as we say in TV land. It's called Broken Arrow in Motion Take 5, and it's just 5 or 6 minute conversations with individuals with a deeper dive, and The mayor did the first one a couple of weeks ago, just talking about the meeting last month, and Vice Mayor Udi, his got released tonight, which just talks about the forum, and I'm going right down the line. So I'm going to hit Councilman Lester, Councilman Parks, and Councilmember Wimpy, just to talk about different things that are going on within the community and get everyone engaged in what's happening. So it's a really good show that the Communications Division put on, just talking more and more about what happened. So, but it'll be 5 or 6 minutes, real easy process. The next one I'm going to do will be with the new chief of police. I mean, he's been on the job, believe it or not, a little over 90 days. And so we did a quick update with him just to keep the community more informed on what's happening. So if there's a topic you want me to hit, I just need to know about it, and we'll get it on the schedule because we can knock these out. We did one today, actually yesterday, with Mr. Skates about the upcoming annual Homeowners Association workshop. That's always a big deal for our committee. There'll be a couple hundred people that will come to that. So if there's something you would like for me to hit on, please let me know because we can work it into the schedule. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, which I don't like to end things on a down note, but I'm going to this time, unfortunately, is that we got our notice for dues for the Oklahoma Municipal League. And our dues for the 18-19 year are $54,502. And unless council expresses a difference, I'll be on the conference call tomorrow, and I'm seriously considering voting no against this because I just feel like for the representation we get, that's a lot of money. And in order to be a part of NLC, as you all know, we have to be a member of OML. And this council is very involved in NLC, and so I just think that we need to, and the mayor's already talked to the new executive director about needing to take a look at the fee structure. It's just a lot of money for our municipality to have to pay every year for OML. And I just want to let the council know is that publicly I'm concerned about what we pay for that versus the service we get, because we do have our own lobbyists. And we pay about a third of that, and I believe we get more representation respectively. So I just want to pass it on to council.
Well, and we had this issue a number of years ago when I was mayor, and as Mayor Thurman knows, we opted to drop out for a short time just because we felt like we weren't getting any benefit for the substantial amount of money that we were paying. And I think that got their attention to better service. I think that may be needed now, but even at that, when I talk to my counterparts on my steering committee who are in other states, they were amazed that we pay so much money into our state league. When they pay a few $1,000s, we're paying tens of thousands of dollars and get no better representation.
I've talked to several states and even Nevada, where cost of living is a lot higher. A city our size is paying around $20,000. So it's we look at other states and it's not it's tough. And I know Councilman Lester and I talked a lot with the then president of the NLC, trying to see if there was any way to be a member. And you know, the municipal league started NLC, so they won't back off on that. And about well, over 10% of their board are municipal league directors, so they really it's tough. And we probably have one of the municipal leagues that's doing the least compared to what other ones are. So it's a tough situation.
Yeah. Is that an increase over last year?
Actually, it's a decrease of about $107.
Oh, well, there's that.
So I mean, obviously, you know, the council likes to know what's going on, and so, you know, we have to be a member of OML, and, you know, we want to be a member of OML, but the mayor started that dialogue. He's had it twice with the new executive director, and he's had it with the previous president of the board. It's just a lot of money for us to pay. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, so I think we do a good job of representing ourselves, whether it's the directors, it's the council, or the chamber of lobbyists. We're working really hard to try to advocate our interests in Oklahoma City. So I just want the council to be aware of what that charge will be for the coming year. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Well, we do have an executive session, so I'd entertain a motion to go into brief recess so we can go into Bama and Beta.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. I'll call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Here.
Wimpy? Parks,
Here, Still.
Lester,
Here.
Udi,
Here.
Thurman.
Here. We have consideration of consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. No public hearings, presentations, or general authority business. 6A, consideration of possible authorization to execute a second professional service agreement with Gershom, Brickner, and Bratton. Lee Zerk.
Yes, Lee Zerk, General Services Director. Chairman and Authority members, back in January of 2016, the Authority originally approved a professional services agreement with GBB, Grisham, Brickner, and Bratton, to conduct a refuse and recycling service. GBB has since fulfilled all existing assignments under that, including some amendments to support and be a technical resource for the Citizens Recycle Committee. From November of 16 to November of 17, GBB and staff met with the Citizens Recycle Committee to propose action steps for the council to consider on recycling. Then finally, on December 5th, 2017, the authority approved the Citizens Recycling Committee recommendation to conduct 2 concurrent recycling pilot programs encompassing 500 customers each. In order to get this done, there must be some significant planning done prior to the implementation of these pilot programs. Some of these include creating surveys, creating routing, staff training, public relations, public education, truck retrofitting, and also the procurement and delivery of carts. As GBB has been engaged since the very beginning of this process and performed well as a consultant and are very familiar with our services and also the expectations of the Citizens Recycle Committee and the authority, staff believes that GBB is well suited to continue as a consultant in assisting us in guiding staff and conducting and carrying out the pilot programs getting ready to come up. It's anticipated the implementation of the pilot programs is going to take approximately 17 months. Under the scope of services, GBB would be responsible for managing the pilot project throughout all phases of the period and provide their expert input and analysis. They would assist in preparing and planning all aspects of the pilot program, have input and assistance during the implementation process, and of course, have the pilot project review and the performance evaluation. So with that being said, staff recommends approval of the agreement with GBB, and funds for this professional service agreement are available in the Bama Capital Project number 16.5114 for carrying out the pilot projects. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Lee?
I just make a comment that GBB has been tremendous in making recommendations to the committee. I feel like we're really just in midstream right here, and to have somebody else come in or not have anybody and try to do it in-house would certainly be cutting our process short. So I have no problems, and I think it's something that we really need to do to complete the process.
I think it would be more expensive to bring someone else on midway, so this only makes sense.
I'd make a motion we approve the professional services agreement with GBB and Incorporated and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion and second discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. No executive session. One more motion.
Make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy, Parks.
Here.
Lester.
Here.
Udi,
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Item 3, consideration of consent agenda. Are any items to be removed?
Move for approval of consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Item 5 is general authority business. I was looking forward to reading this whole item out, but there's been a request to table it to a future meeting, so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Although I do apologize for robbing the mayor of that experience.
Maybe next time. No executive session, one more motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. We're back in regular session. I entertain a motion for a brief recess to clear the room for executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Motion second, roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.